Hello, everybody. This is Old Buck Dell, and this is episode 200, truly a milestone. And with me is Old Buck
Me.
Dave.
Oh yeah. I forgot. I
There you
forgot where I
go.
was there for a second.
Old Buck on our milestone
that's why it's
episode.
Old
Old
Buck
Buck Dave
Dave.
nodded
That's
off
why
on
it's
it.
Old
There
Buck
you
Dave. It was not enough here.
No, we're
Hey,
very, very, very happy to be at this stage of our podcast episode. So anyhow,
yeah.
Dave's going to give us a rough update on the last part of his adventures, and then we'll go from there. So stand by, everybody. Thanks for
Stand
listening.
by. Okay. Yeah, it was a nice ending, good and bad. First of all, I'd like again to thank Linda and Klaus for the hospitality they showed us the whole time we were there. It was just a treat. They were fun to be with, interesting characters. Leading a happy lifestyle up in the hills in Germany there. So it was real nice being with them. I just looked at my phone and I logged over 110 miles walking uh, during the month. So that was a pretty good month for me. 110 miles.
My legs are hurting just thinking about it.
Mine were hurting a couple times, but
That is
we
pretty amazing. You know that
I was surprised, when I finally looked it up there. It's like, wow, I actually did. Yeah, I know I did as much walking as it felt like. Yeah. Yeah. It was nice. Got to see a lot of stuff. And of course there was the flight back. The flight from Frankfurt to Charlotte was, left on time, very comfortable flight, nice flight attendants, watched some movies, 8.5 hours, right on schedule. And then we had to get from Charlotte to Sarasota. That was another matter. Our
that's only a 2-hour flight.
That's like an hour and 15 minutes is what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
And they can do it in under that if they want to. So we initially had, we landed like 12:15, 12:30, something like that. We initially had a 2:30 flight out of Charlotte. Well, they canceled that. We knew this before we took off. They had canceled that flight, put us on like a 4:30 flight. Like, okay, so we got a 3.5 hours in the Charlotte airport, but that's okay. So we got boarded up there, and they said, the flight's, we're going to be delayed 20 minutes. And then it was another 20 minutes. And then it was another 20 minutes. Well, the 4:30 flight left at 8:30. So we got a lot of time sitting in the plane where it didn't go anywhere. They explained that they had an engine issue when the plane came in. They were doing the repairs, and they found a sheared pin in the engine. Like, okay, you fix that sheared pin. You take all the time you need to fix that pin. And they did. And we finally made it. So we got back late Tuesday night. So that's it. It was a good trip. It was a good month. Stayed out of the heat a lot, and enjoyed it. So what about you?
You made it sound like the weather was phenomenal over there in that part of
It
the
was
world.
mostly pretty nice. We did have some hot days in the 80s here and there, but most of the time it was in the 70s. We had some, nice mornings in the 60s even. It was just perfect for me.
Well, like I said, you send me some. You always send me a couple of photos along the way, and I kind of follow along with you as we talk. But it looked to me like you were enjoying yourself. The view from that your friend's place was fantastic,
Oh yeah.
and then the thrill ride on that BMW
Oh
that
wow.
to do that in America, you'd have to be in a proper racetrack and pay somebody that
Yeah.
had a
Yeah.
vehicle that would go that fast. So
Not many places you can do that.
not many places
Not
do
many
that.
cars over here that'll go that fast, frankly.
Yeah. Anyhow, you're back safe and sound, and I'm happy for that. I was going to bring up a lot of things that are going on
Well,
around.
bring up some things. Bring
Well,
up
there's
some things.
no.
Talk to me.
Well,
Talk to me.
in case you didn't notice, did you see those new NFL rules? Just touching on that quickly.
I heard something about there were new rules, something about lining up, but I haven't paid much attention to it. So
I did not.
educate me.
I
Educate
did
me.
not. I did not pay much attention to it either until I looked at the kickoff, and the opposing teams were facing each other like 10 yards apart, man to man. The kickoff person, was way back on the 35-yard line, ready to kicking off by himself, and the receivers were way down the other end by themselves. And I guess I'll have to watch a whole full game to get the gist of this, but I think it was designed to give the receiver who caught the ball a chance to run a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Before
all that momentum smashed into him.
Yeah, and so this way he might get a couple yards in, and they were trying to, I guess, add a little bit of a little excitement to the kick up, which was pretty boring, I got to admit, because most of them just went in the end zone. Everybody stood around, and and then you gathered on the 25-yard line or the 20-yard line, and the way you went. So that was going on. I picked up on some. You remember a long time ago we talked about some young people on electric bikes and how they were flying around without helmets and everything.
Oh yeah.
We were sitting there watching this from our coffee table at Starbucks one day, and lo and behold, it made the news that there were like 220,000 emergency room calls for people on electric bikes, which we speculated on. Remember? We said, as fast as they go and the way people are driving those things without any kind of protective gear, something has got to. So indeed, that was taking place, which emphasizes my desire to be right
again. Yeah.
To be right most of the time, to speculate on these things and look back and say, yeah, I was right. And remember I talked about years ago, water. Remember I said too much
water everywhere.
And we just experienced the too much portion here the other day. So
well, I'll say, yeah.
Anyhow, the world has been spinning around, and I've been noticing all these things, much of which I can't do anything about. Hey, but I do have a question for you. Do you have a problem with losing silverware?
Losing silverware?
Yeah.
I can't say that I do, actually. We used to feed one to the garbage disposal every once in a while, but kind of gotten beyond that.
Well, then you know what I'm talking about.
Apparently, you do have a problem.
I do. Well, I have a very specific quantity of silverware, so that I know exactly how many I have. I have in my house. I have exactly 4 of each item.
Wow.
And then
that's pretty precise.
Yeah, it is precise because it's all I need. You know what I mean? I don't need a lot. I don't have a supply what they call good silverware.
Oh yeah.
Or regular silverware. It's just silverware. And I know how many pieces there are. So I've been noticing that my forks have dwindled down to like 3. And I said, geez, where's that
this stuff going? Yeah.
Well, actually, what it is, since I don't have a garbage disposal, because the plumbing was just, to me, was too dangerous to even deal with, and I don't have a dishwasher because I really don't need one. But
because you're the dishwasher, right?
Yeah. There's only,
well, you don't have any silverware, so you can't eat anything. So you can't dirty any dishes. Okay.
Not much to do.
It's all making sense.
Often use a lot of paper plates. Now, some of our listeners may relate to this. I use basically paper plates, and sometimes the wife will say, "You're going back to the kitchen. Go ahead and she'll hand me her plate with a fork on it, and I'll put my plate on top of it."
Okay.
And there they go.
There it goes. It's the trash. Okay, now I got you. I
don't know if anybody else suffers from disappearing. And I think I threw my potato peeler out the same way the other day. I couldn't find that anymore. So now I don't know whether that's an old buck thing, whether that's ominous things that happen as you get a little older, or it's just carelessness or what. But I'd be curious to see if any of our listeners have any kitchen adventures.
Kitchen adventures.
Disappearing items from there. So all in all, like I said, the world is spinning, and we're back together. And again, this is a giant milestone. I'm pleased to be with you at this juncture, because in the early days, I didn't even have Wi-Fi in the house. And he said, if you want
Yeah.
to Zoom, you can't keep going to the library to do this. No, you're gonna have to get something for the
Yeah.
house.
Plus, those people got real annoyed at the library when you were
Yeah,
talking out loud.
yeah. So
Yeah. Hey, yeah. Well, listen, given this is our 200th anniversary, as it were, why don't we just take a little bit of time talking about some of the stuff that's happened over the last 200 episodes? Let me start. I dug into some statistics. We have been downloaded in 77 countries around the world, and maybe some that aren't out of the world. Who knows? 1,267 cities have listened to the Bucks, so that's a bunch. So it's kind of makes you feel like, yeah, somebody's out there listening to us talk about nothing. Kind of fun. The main countries, the main listenership comes from number one from the U.S., of course. Now we have Germany, Canada, Lithuania, and the UK topping out the top five. I say there are 72 other countries as well. Our top episodes. Bridie Thielen Heidel still holds the record. She continues to get downloads, and I will put a link to Bridie again because her book is coming out next month. The book that she talked about last year. So it's actually it's being printed. It's printed already, and it's going to be launched next month. And so we'll put a link to her, to Bridie, and that was it was heartening because so many people wrote. I think that might have been the most feedback we've ever gotten. I'm not sure. It was a lot about so many people said that same thing happened to me, or I know somebody that lived through that same kind of thing, and so many people come out of it not okay. But
it was really a pleasure to be part of that.
yeah, because she came out seriously okay. Yeah. Anyway, other than that, our other top episodes, of course, Judge Jones. That was fun talking to the judge, the retired Judge Clarence Jones. We got a lot of good feedback on him. And one that we're still getting downloads on is you recall our interview with Phoenix, the wounded doctor in Ukraine, and
the Ukrainian
Roland.
medic medic.
Yeah, he was a doc. Well, they call him medic, but he's an MD. That's basically an MD. He's not a. So he was the real thing. He was a frontline doctor who had been wounded and was recovering. So that was a pretty touching episode there.
That was definitely touching. Yep.
Yeah. And so thanks to Phoenix and Roland for that. And then another highly downloaded episode was when we talked to Mary Meany and Annie Tregouet about the Ukrainian refugees in their town in France. We've had probably, I'm guessing, I don't know, maybe 10 episodes now that dealt with Ukraine. Something close to my heart, being my wife and I are both half Ukrainian. So that was it was interesting to hear what they had done over there. And then getting back to Lake Tahoe, we had Tahoe Toogie, the bear whisperer, and that was kind of a fun, fun episode. We got a lot of downloads for that, and we're still those are still trickling in as well.
That one was interesting because the state of Florida started to have issues with bears, and
oh right,
the difference was he used to go and kind of de-bear the places. Is that the way you say it?
Yeah,
he would de-bear, crawl underneath the house or something and chase the bear out, and kind of like he would harden the place from the bears, or
yeah.
it showed you tricks to
They would
deal with the
bear-proof
bears.
your house. Yeah.
So what did they do in Florida?
What do you think they did in Florida?
They passed
Take
a law
'em
that
out.
says you can shoot them.
Shoot them. Shoot them.
Anyhow, that was quite fun. It was we have met along the way, Dave, some very fascinating individuals who've lived some very interesting lives, and it's a blessing to us and to have touched base with them and to sort of share that with the rest of anybody who picks it up. Any looks at the old episodes and hears that, to share it with the rest of the world. So
yeah,
I feel real good about that.
Yeah, of course we have to give a nod to Vintage Vixen 1, our friend
Judith,
who we initially did a 2-part interview with her, and then she was a kind of a recurring co-host on the show. So that's been really fun. That's been really fun. And of course, she's now pretty much recuperated from her detached retina. She said she can see again. Everything's working out well. So thanks, and a tip of the antlers to Judith.
Yeah, many thanks to Judith.
Of course, there's Captain Jim, he's another recurring guest with his sea stories. They're always fun to listen to. We've always gotten good feedback on Captain Jim. Of course, you remember we had Joel on his gay hat talking about his travel adventures a couple times.
Yeah.
That was memorable.
Yeah, kind of a broad spectrum of individuals with really interesting lives. So,
and then I'd like to really give a big nod of the antlers to Paul Tregouet, who was helpful in so many ways, getting some of the Ukrainian stuff organized. And of course, Paul has, does the medical donations to Ukraine. He just sent me a picture probably last week of the latest supplies being delivered to the front lines. It's pretty sophisticated medical gear. Thanks, Paul, for all you've done and helped us here. Of course, when I was sick in France, he took over and actually did the podcast, and he did it quite well. He did it quite well.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, because this hasn't made the mainstream media, but I mean, if you did happen to tune into the old Bucks, you learned something that you didn't hear anywhere else. How about that?
Yeah. How many other people interviewed a fella who managed to escape from Russia in protest of Putin's war over there?
Yeah.
And of course, that was Valentin.
Yeah.
Who, he came on and talked to us about his experiences, and so that was very interesting. And so he told us his story. Of course, then there was Superman Terry, who can build or fix anything. You recall? Actually, he sent me it's funny. He sent me a picture this morning of his buddy's new welding table. Okay, now this thing may fit in my living room, but probably not. So.
Does he build those, by the way?
He is. Well, this happened to be his friends, but I know he has built, I think, probably 3 welding tables of his own.
And they're
the big outdoor table, the indoor table, and.
But if anybody doesn't know what that usually, you have to pound on those things, and you have to work on those. And they're very sturdy.
Yeah,
they're very sturdy tables. So.
Of course, there was also the other Terry of the North, devoted listener, and spreader of moonbeams. Bruce Reddick, remember Bruce? We interviewed Bruce, talked about his account of working in Alaska. And Bruce and I just swapped photographs recently. I saw an article in a magazine about someone who had done something similar. I sent it to him, and he sent me pictures. He was on a hiking trip up in the Rockies, I believe, maybe the Canadian Rockies. And sent me some beautiful pictures. So Bruce is still out there doing his thing. Hey, what about Dr. Dan? Dr. Dan and his beach trolley stories. Jeez, there's just so many.
Again, we've had reason to learn new things. We challenged ourselves. I should say, I mean, you said, hey, Del, let's do a podcast, and I admitted I didn't really know what that was, but there's a lot of technical stuff that you learned to put this together. And I, of course, sat quietly by.
you provided moral support.
Yeah, I say, well done.
Which is important. Yeah.
Right. That's But all in all, the excitement of trying to do this, and even Dave, I've always been touched by the lady who wrote in and said, I really haven't maybe finished an entire episode, but I'm not feeling well, and listening to you guys helped me sleep. And I thought that I said, how, I mean, what a wonderful gift we've given that woman.
It was more than one woman, as it turns out. We've got several people wrote in and said, "Oh yeah, that happens to me too. I listen to your
And,
podcast to fall asleep at night. Yeah.
we coined the phrase the Melatonin Brothers.
Melatonin Brothers. So,
Yeah, we thought that was funny. That
kind of one of the unintended
yeah.
consequences of the podcast. Yeah.
So
And of
it
course,
has been a real joy in my heart to know that one person was able to listen to us, and you know, it made them feel better. So, and maybe even a few laughs. I mean,
few laughs. Yeah, the people, the gym rats said listening to the podcast makes the boring
and
gym
I'm
routine
gonna
a little bit more bearable. Yeah.
I'm gonna say no one has been able to develop a system to fold fitted sheets better than I did. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, we learned one thing. We learned
What?
that kind of like being spontaneous is a lot of work. I
Yeah.
mean, we certainly got better as time went on. But boy, I'll tell you, those early episodes, I had to edit them all twice. You know, the first time was to take out all the major guffaws, and then I had to edit the whole thing again to take out some of the ums and ahs. And of course, I got lazy and started leaving a lot of those in. So
Well, I'm just so
it's
grateful
been
for
a
all the
journey.
people
It's
that,
been a journey.
yeah, it's been around. You know, even the new drop-in listeners, if you listen to us one time or 10 times or 100 times, we're happy for you that you touch base with the, two old bucks. You never know what you're going to find out. We have thoughts on everything. In fact, I would encourage anybody that had questions for, why, what, ask the old bucks. You can send something in and get our opinion. We have opinions on everything, right? Everybody does.
We got
That's the
them.
cheapest thing going.
It's cheap. Yeah, you can get your opinion heard on two old
Yeah.
bucks at no
There was an
charge.
old man who many years ago said if you want to make a lot of money, he said write a book. Well, that we know is not an easy thing to do, but he saw that as a quick way to make some money. And then he said, and the easiest job in the world is telling other people what they do wrong.
Yeah,
I
boy,
never
boy.
forgot that. I said, and that's right. That's exactly
right.
what
Jeez.
what it is. So
Yeah.
if
Well,
anybody wants a question, send something in. Use SpeakPipe or ask us a question. We'll gladly talk about those things.
yeah. I mean, we spend a lot of time talking about basically nothing, or sometimes about things that are wrong that we don't like. But we did a couple things we did think about when we talked about cryptocurrencies and
Hey,
NFTs, and
hey. Whatever happened to
suggest
NFTs? Are they
yeah,
still
whatever
around?
happened. Yeah, they've kind of fallen. Yeah, they've fallen on hard times. It was
We tried to,
as we predicted. This stuff is smoke and mirrors. It's worth nothing.
yeah, and we were trying to sell stovetop art.
Yeah,
That was our thing at the time.
we managed to give a couple of those away.
Yeah.
And of course, Bitcoin. We said Bitcoin is smoke and mirrors, basically. And then what happened? Sam Bankman-Fried was exposed, and his company FTX.
But I hear
Nothing but
that's
a
coming
Ponzi
back.
scheme. Well, it's funny because Sam went to jail, the markets tanked, and interestingly, a couple financial institutions put together these ETFs. Now that's different than a NFT,
Mm-hmm.
exchange traded fund. They put together exchange traded funds for Bitcoin, for crypto. Well, it doesn't surprise me, I guess, because they said, look, there's money to be made doing this stuff as well. So they created these ETFs on Bitcoin. And basically, once that happened, then the price of Bitcoin started going back up again. So thanks, guys.
Sort of a legitimate method of trading, I suppose.
Well, it wasn't really trading. It was, well, we don't have enough time to get into what it really was, but it's
still around. Bitcoin is still there. Yeah.
They know it's smoke and mirrors too, but they know people will spend money doing this, so they're taking it. Like Will Rogers said, you'll never go broke underestimating the intelligence of the American people. So, well, I mean, I also mentioned my grandsons. We had a couple good episodes with my grandsons, and people say, "Bring your grandsons back." Like, they're getting older now. They're really not impressed by this anymore. So, I don't know. We might get them back on here.
Actually, they're quite high tech now, aren't they? Those young boys, I should say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And seriously into soccer. We had the older son, the older grandson. Well, we FaceTimed with him yesterday, and he showed me his two. He made some soccer league team, and he and so he modeled both his home uniform and his away uniform for us. That was great. He was really proud of it, so it was fun.
Well, the two old bucks based our beginnings basically on friendship. We always encourage people to touch base with people, keep in touch with people. Life's looking back now, life is a pretty short story when we get up into our age. It was based on that. We shared the enjoyment of books, encouraged people if they have thoughts on books or writers or whatever. We always try to help those folks out any way we could in our small way. Other than that, old Buckdale was really pleased to have been part of the two old bucks and hope to carry on a while longer.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let me also remind you of this now from our various Ukraine podcasts. We've managed to raise five figures in donations for various Ukraine support groups. I totaled them all up. So, some went to this organization, some went to that, some went to medical supplies. And these are the only ones that listeners told us. They said, "Hey, I sent $500 to such and such." So we don't know how many didn't tell us. How many did something didn't tell us. But if you total it up, it's in the five figures. So we helped a little bit. On a lighter note, we have your ongoing medical controversies. And I think
I predicted a long time ago that the system was broken, and so mainstream media has picked up on that too. That the medical system is just not working well. I wish everybody good health. That's all I can tell you, because the system will just grind you down.
Well, we had several people were just in awe of you lying down on the doctor's waiting room floor to get.
Oh, that works. That works.
That works. Yeah, that works. Yeah, my gosh. Yeah.
So I don't recommend everybody try that. That's desperation. I mean, that is really desperation. If you say, "Listen, I'm just going to lay here in case something happens to me, call 911. They'll know where to find me or something."
Yeah. Hey, we didn't talk politics too much.
We didn't.
We didn't. We could have talked more, but it's maybe the same thing you hear everywhere. But I do want to put a link to something that I just listened to. And I'll put this under the category politics can be fun. How's that? So this is another podcast, but it's David Axelrod and another fella, and they have a political podcast. But this one particular episode, they have RFK. They have a tape of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. explaining the whole bear cub caper. If you recall that, he got into the headlines here about him having found a dead bear cub and put it in his car and took it to Central Park.
Yeah, I saw something to that.
They play that on his actual explanation of that on their podcast. So we're going to put a link to that now. It's at 56 minutes in where he explains this whole story. It's really too good to make up. But interestingly, he's now negotiating with both Harris and Trump for a cabinet position. So never let principles hold you back from your lust for greed and power. That's
well. I would also add to that. We are aware of, and we do have opinions on things. And I for one don't like insulting people. I think it's bad. It's just a bad precedent. I think about how the world perceives that type of thing, and how Americans are perceived around the world, and how they'll be treated afterwards if that's the case. If you're insulting everybody. So,
well, I think I told you what the woman in Dresden thought of our country.
I remember that, and I would go on record as saying that I would like to see Kamala win.
I am 100% with you there, buddy. I think if she doesn't, we risk a collapse of democracy. And life as we know it. Really, it sounds like hyperbole, but all you got to read is the Project 2025 stuff, and it's like, yeah, these guys are seriously crazy about making this a dictatorship.
Well,
Anyway, so
in
that's
order
my
to,
political commentary. Go
well,
ahead.
true. And I lived overseas. I lived in I would say, we didn't call it a dictatorship, but it was a one man.
Autocratic.
It was a autocratic. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
one man's authority, and the workaround to survive in that is very, very tricky. And I don't think people would know what it would take, because everybody gets caught in that net. And in order for the system to work, there's a wide net that has to be cast, and
Yeah.
it catches the good guys and the bad guys to keep that system running. So anyhow, we shall see what we see, but
Yeah.
this old buck stands with Kamala.
Amen. Amen. Hey, and we should mention that going forward, we are going to throttle back our activities here. Probably go down to 1 or 2 a month, as we're getting involved in some other things as well, and we've kind of talked about everything that we know how to talk about. Maybe I don't know, but yeah, maybe we'll read some more short stories. We'll get some more Dell stories. We're still going to be there, but you're going to have to make sure that you're subscribed to one of the podcast outlets to continue to get our stuff here. Let me say this here also. I've been sticking bonus tracks into the end of the show notes. I don't know if everybody knows that, but at least some people do, because I get comments like, I really didn't like that. I didn't really like that bonus track, or, oh, that bonus track was great. Do more of that stuff. So I'm gonna put 3 bonus tracks at the end of this one. So you can. There's got to be something for everyone here. We're going to have some Joe Cocker getting a little help from his friends. Sarah McLachlan, remembering you, and John Lennon singing "Imagine," which is kind of what this podcast has been all about, and you have said that more often and more eloquently than I have. And it's really about friendships and hanging out and learning from your friends, teaching your friends, just enjoying your friends.
Mm. Well, the toolbox will still be around. Like I said, other things and time and getting pulled in a lot of different directions is slowing us down a little bit, but we'll still be there. And I'm thinking old Buck Dales wants to say thank you very much for all our regular listeners and anybody that drops in to talk to the old Bucks. Always good to speak to you folks. And this is old Buck Dale saying, I will talk to you next time.
And this is old Buck Dave. Now that you have given me the cue that it's time to end, I'm going to take that cue and say it's been a treat, folks. It's been a real good run, and we're not going away. We're just slowing down. Take care, everybody. Old Buck Dave saying bye-bye.